Hi, this is Marlene, and I have decided to video record my response to give me more practice with the use of videos and something that I am teaching right now. So I think I would like to change my announcements to more video announcements and follow Anya's direction there. Just trying to move my picture out of the screen. All right, so I am a big fan of asynchronous discussions in terms of my takeaways, but the credentialing board for applied behavior analysis for the coursework that we teach, which is the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, will no longer accept asynchronous discussions as credit for course time. And so I found that I'm really struggling with finding alternate activities that they will count for instructional time that will give me the same kind of benefit for the student. So that's something I'm struggling with a little bit. I have found that students often don't know what they don't know. And when they're describing something or responding to a post and another student is required to read that, oftentimes it helps to add some clarity or helps to bring up a discussion about how to get to clarity around various terms and concepts that are covered in the course. So I really do love discussions. We have gotten around that a little bit by creating video discussions and integrating that into the course requirements, and so that's been helpful. But I find that I'm not using them as much as I had in the past, and I wish I could find out a way to be able to do that. So some takeaways with regards to what I learned from the information shared in this module. Discussion boards are a great way to get all the students involved. Discussion boards allow for 3 types of interaction: the student with the content, the student with another student, and the student with the instructor. And in face-to-face classrooms, discussions typically dominated by the same several students versus the entire class. I've taught online for a long time, but I've also taught face-to-face. And one of the things that I really like about online instruction is the use of discussion boards, so that you can see where every single person is in terms of their understanding of the content. And so I agree with what was shared in this module. I like the section with regard to the various activities that can be done in a discussion format. When I created an online doctoral course in another university, I did incorporate aspects of the jigsaw, and I did incorporate, it was my first debate activity, which was kind of fun. But it was done in a synchronous meeting and not in a discussion thread. So it was interesting to see how that might be able to be integrated into a discussion thread, and I really like that. And I'd like to try some of these ideas in my course going forward. The module also made me rethink the way I structure discussions. I've used primarily text as a prompt, and I've sometimes used video. I'm finding that I'm having to use that as my sole method right now. But I'd like to try VoiceThread, and I would like to try mixing things up a little bit. One thing I know from teaching both online and face-to-face is that different students learn in different ways. And I'd be interested to see whether there are any differences between a student's use of one option versus another. It might be an interesting, I love research, so it might be an interesting research question. As part of this course and for this activity, we were supposed to list a concern. And I've implemented discussion in all of the classes that I've taught. So I don't even know how to have a class without having some kind of a discussion that's asynchronous in addition to the synchronous meetings that we're required to have. And I've learned a lot about how to structure them, both based on feedback from the students and also by correcting my own mistakes. When you first start doing something, you kind of go back and look at what the outcome was, and you decide what you would like to do differently. And I've made a lot of corrections, things about being clear about netiquette and about the length of the response, including a very clear rubric about the kinds of things that I'm looking for in terms of response. And I typically make it very clear that students are not to just spit out the information that they learned, but to give me some analysis of the information, some application of the things that they've learned to how they see that fitting into their own practice. But my biggest concern is when a student uses English as a second language. I know that that's a reality, and I don't have any bias against that, but I do find in a discussion format that students tend to engage less when discussion responses are grammatically incorrect or if they're written in unclearly. As my remedy for that, typically I work one-to-one with these students and then refer them to any supports that exist within the university. But I'm wondering if anybody else has experienced this and if they've come up with better or more ways to address this. And my question is that more of a security question and a validity question. And that's when a response to a discussion is a textual one, how do I know for sure that that response was generated by the student and not by someone else? So I look forward to viewing the posts of 2 other students and continuing in this discussion. Thanks.